For so many of us, Thursday nights meant one thing. You'd settle in, the week would finally slow down, and Paul and Jamie would remind you that love didn't have to be perfect to be real. Mad About You wasn't just a sitcom, it was the marriage we believed in. Now it's been over 25 years. Some of these faces took turns nobody expected.
And the thing is, the show worked because the people in it were real. Not just Paul and Jamie. Every face around that apartment brought something we needed. So let's walk through that door one more time. I'd love to know who you watched this show with. A spouse? A roommate? Maybe just yourself after a long day. Those small memories are what this channel is built on. Share yours as we go. And we'll start with the one who always showed up whether you invited him or not.
You could always hear Ira before you saw him. That laugh, that energy barging through the door like he owned the place. John Pankow gave us the cousin who never called ahead, but always came through when it counted. Ira wasn't just comic relief. He was the friend who made loneliness feel impossible. Pankow was 38 when Mad About You premiered. A trained stage actor, he'd already turned heads in To Live and Die in L.A. and held his own opposite Michael J. Fox in The Secret of My Success. But Ira Buckman became the role people stopped him on the street for. Here's something most fans never knew. John's older brother is James Pankow, the trombonist who co-founded the legendary rock band Chicago. One brother on Broadway, the other on arena stages around the world. After the show, Pankow starred as the sharp-tongued TV executive Merc Lapidus in the Showtime series Episodes. Today, at 72, he lives quietly in New York with his wife, actress Christine Sutherland. He still carries the same spark we remember. Some people just don't lose it. Lisa Stempel was always searching. New jobs, new apartments, new versions of herself. Anne Ramsey made Jamie's little sister feel like someone we all knew. She was the one still figuring it out, while everyone else seemed settled. That same year Mad About You started, Ramsey was swinging a bat alongside Rosie O'Donnell and Madonna in a league of their own. She was 32 and doing both at once. She never stopped working. Dexter, Hawthorne, Grey's Anatomy. Today, at 65, she radiates the same familiar comfort decades later. Still showing up, still finding the next thing. But not everyone from this show stayed in front of the camera. One of them walked away from Hollywood entirely. Every woman watching Mad About You wanted a friend like Fran Devanow, the one who said what you were thinking before you even thought it. Leila Kenzle played that role so naturally, it never once felt like acting. She was 32 when the show began. For 7 seasons and 138 episodes, she was the voice in Jamie's ear and ours. Honest, sharp-witted, never afraid to say the uncomfortable thing out loud. Then the show ended, and Kenzle did something no one saw coming. She left Hollywood behind completely. She went back to school, earned a master's degree in clinical psychology from Antioch University, and became a licensed marriage and family therapist in Los Angeles. She co-founded Fertility LA, a counseling program for people struggling to start families. Today, at 65, she's aging with incredible grace. Not on a screen, in a quiet office, helping real people through their hardest chapters. The woman who played everyone's best friend became one for real. And her on-screen husband? He went on to make millions of people cry in a way nobody expected. You wouldn't expect the guy who couldn't keep his marriage together on a sitcom to one day break your heart inside a Pixar film. But that's Richard Kind for you.
As Dr. Mark Devanow, he was the husband who tried too hard and got it wrong every time. He was the man we couldn't help rooting for because we saw ourselves in his mess. Mark never had it figured out. That's exactly why we loved him. Kind was 35 when Mad About You premiered. After the show, he bounced between everything. Spin City with Michael J. Fox, Curb Your Enthusiasm alongside Larry David, for nearly 20 years. The Coen brothers cast him in A Serious Man. Then Pixar handed him a role nobody forgot. Bing Bong, the imaginary friend in Inside Out, who taught a generation that letting go is its own kind of love. Today, at 69, he just wrapped a limited West End run in London, playing Max Bialystock in The Producers at the Garrick Theatre. Mel Brooks himself called him a true force of nature. Time has only deepened his charm. The man never stops. And there's someone else from this show whose voice you've heard 1,000 times without ever seeing his face. If any of these names are bringing back your living room, your old couch, that one night you couldn't stop laughing, I'm right there with you. Stay with me. The best ones are still ahead. You may not recognize the name right away, but the second Hank Azaria opened his mouth on Mad About You, you felt it. That effortless timing. That voice that could shift from tender to ridiculous in half a breath. He was around 30 when he first appeared on the show. A recurring face who fit in so naturally you forgot he wasn't there every week. What most people don't realize is just how many voices Hank Azaria has given us. For 37 years, he's been the soul behind over 100 characters on The Simpsons, Moe, Chief Wiggum, Comic Book Guy, Professor Frink. 4 Emmy Awards just for that show alone, 6 overall. In 2025, he wrote an op-ed for the New York Times about his fear that AI could replace voice actors. It went everywhere. That same year, he launched a touring show with his band Hank Azaria and the Easy Street, celebrating the music of Bruce Springsteen. Today, at 62, he wears every year beautifully. Voicing, performing, giving back. He hasn't slowed down once. And speaking of voices that changed everything, one face from this very show launched a character so beloved, it built an entire other series. You already know who she is, but you might not know where it all started. What if one waitress who couldn't remember your order changed the entire history of television? Lisa Kudrow first appeared on Mad About You as Ursula Buffay, the flaky, distracted waitress at Riff's who got every order wrong and didn't care. She was 29 and so funny in the role that the creators of a brand new NBC show asked one question: what if Ursula had a twin sister? That twin became Phoebe Buffay, and that show became Friends. It's one of the strangest origin stories in sitcom history. Without Mad About You, there is no Phoebe. Without Ursula forgetting your soup, there is no smelly cat. Kudrow has said it herself. This is where it all began. After Friends, she created and starred in The Comeback on HBO, playing Valerie Cherish, a role critics called one of the sharpest portraits of Hollywood ever put on screen. That show returned for its 3rd and final season earlier this year. Today, at 62, Lisa Kudrow looks untouched by the years. She's also starring in the 2025 film The Parenting on Max, alongside Edie Falco and Brian Cox. 3 decades in, she's still the funniest person in the room who doesn't seem to know it. But we haven't talked about the one who held this entire family together, the woman who stood at the center of that apartment and made sure everyone behaved.
Some characters don't need the most screen time to leave the deepest mark. Cynthia Harris walked into Mad About You as Sylvia Buckman and instantly became every mother-in-law you'd ever met. Opinionated, overbearing, and so full of love, she didn't know where to put it all. Harris was 58 when the show premiered. A classically trained actress from Smith College who had studied under Lee Strasberg at the Actors Studio. Years before Sylvia, she'd played Wallace Simpson in Edward and Mrs. Simpson, earning a BAFTA nomination. From a duchess to a Jewish mother in New York, only a real actress could make both feel true. She co-founded TACT, the Actors Company Theater, an off-Broadway company devoted to classic works. She returned for the Mad About You revival in 2019. It was one of her final roles. Cynthia Harris left us in October 2021 at 87. But Sylvia Buckman never really left that apartment. She's still standing in the doorway, letting everyone know exactly what she thinks. Mothers like that don't disappear. They echo. And the woman Sylvia spent all those years worrying about? She became something far bigger than any of us imagined. We've saved one face for last. The one who stood beside Paul Buckman for 7 years and somehow made us believe every single minute of it. Before Helen Hunt, wives on television mostly reacted. They rolled their eyes. They waited for the punchline. Jamie Buckman didn't wait for anything. She was 29 when Mad About You began, and from the very first episode, something shifted. Jamie wasn't the straight man. She wasn't the setup. She was the reason you kept watching. The woman who could fight with her husband at dinner and make you feel like you were sitting at that table with them. Hunt won 4 consecutive Emmy Awards for playing Jamie. 4. No other actress had done that before in the same comedy role. And right in the middle of the show's run, she stepped onto a movie set and won the Academy Award for As Good as It Gets. She was filming both at the same time. Sitcom by day, Oscar by night. Paul Reiser once said the show only worked because of her. He was right. The chemistry between them never felt written. It felt lived in. After the show, Hunt directed films, raised her daughter, and kept choosing roles that mattered over roles that paid. Twister, Castaway, The Sessions, which earned her a second Oscar nomination. Now, in 2026, she's doing something she's never done before. Helen Hunt is making her debut with the Royal Shakespeare Company in Stratford-upon-Avon, starring as Madame Ranievskaya in The Cherry Orchard opposite Kenneth Branagh. At 62, more striking now than ever, she's standing on one of the oldest stages in the English-speaking world for the first time. Jamie Buckman taught us that a woman could be the funniest, sharpest, most tender person in the room and never have to choose between any of those things. Helen Hunt proved it wasn't acting. But we can't close this story without honoring the heart at its center. Every time Burt Buckman walked through that door, the room got bigger. Louis Zorich didn't just play a father. He played the kind of father who made you feel like everything was going to be fine. "It's me, Burt. Burt Buckman, your father." He said it so many times, it became its own kind of music. Off-screen, Zorich was married to Olympia Dukakis for 56 years. Together, they built the whole theater in New Jersey and raised 3 children. He was a Broadway actor, a musician, a man who lived as generously as he performed. Louis Zorich left us in January 2018 at 93. And Cynthia Harris, his on-screen wife and partner through every episode, followed in 2021. The Buckman parents are gone now, but their voices still carry. Every rerun, every late-night rewatch, Burt still walks through that door.
Sylvia still has something to say. Some families stay with you long after the credits roll.
Mad About You was never about being perfect.
It was about showing up. For dinner, for the argument, for the dog, for each other. That's why it stayed with us. Somewhere, the final frontier is still playing. Paul is still reaching for Jamie's hand across the couch, and we're still the ones who believed in them.
So let me ask you this. When you think of Mad About You, what comes back first? The person beside you or the feeling in the room? I'd love to read it. There are more stories like this one waiting. More faces, more living rooms, more Thursday nights we used to know. Until next time, hold on to that feeling.